very good evening to you, our viewers. Welcome to it. This is the Camnet main news. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. The top stories on our desk this evening. Voter apathy characterizes KABUSHI and KWACHA by-election as the Patriotic Front vows to petition the election results. Disband the Constitutional Court, CRIES United Party for National Development MANDEVU 2021 parliamentary candidate. KABWE mayor warned against sabotaging government's effort. In international news, Uganda works to contain EBOLA outbreak. And in sports news, Cristiano Ronaldo at the center on the controversy at Manchester United.
You know, I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You read me?
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Camnet Stars Football Club, your local national team, will this Sunday 23rd October 2022 be hosting Welcome Football Club. Time 15 hours. Venue Kablonga Boys Secondary School, the home of Camnet Stars Football Club. Don't miss this entertaining and upcoming champions of Zambia. Camnet Stars Football Club, a team born for greatness. See you there.
Thank you for choosing us. The news in detail. Young men in Lusaka have continued to defy all odds and risk their lives by engaging in the goods courier business using wheelbarrows. Tito Kalama took time to talk to some of those who are involved in this business and say the toughest men cover between 6 to 7 kilometers carrying heavy merchandise. A 45-year-old wheelbarrow pusher who on a daily basis ferries goods for his clients from Soweto Market to Garden Compound has revealed that he makes approximately 200 kwacha per day in 2 trips. Let's look at this.
Even before engine-propelled couriers came on the scene in Zambia, wheelbarrow pushers have for a long time been involved in the business. This is the first day. Geoffrey is not wearing his top because of the sweltering heat and hard toil that keeps him sweating profusely. Eyebrows aged and muscles hardened, he pushes a cargo-filled wheelbarrow from Lusaka's biggest open market in Soweto. He is carrying various farm produce for 11 of his clients and moves through the central business district. He is in the company of other wheelbarrow pushers and moves with the traffic of motor vehicles. They move on into the main highway, the Great North Road, and dangerously move in tandem with motor vehicles that include trucks. Their destination is Garden Kanele Market, about 5 kilometers from the central business district of Lusaka. This is the second day and the wheelbarrow pushers are on their usual routine. Today, Geoffrey is wearing a shirt and sometimes he breaks into a jog, and keeping up with him and others is a challenge.
Vehicle is running. Trying to catch up. Sorry.
There is an accident. A wheelbarrow pusher has spilled his client's cargo and Geoffrey stops to help. This is not unusual. It happens even to the most hardened.
Look at how heavy that cargo is. Finally. They have nicknamed him the barefoot man. He does it barefoot.
We are now on Garden Road nearing our destination. Geoffrey begins dispatching the cargo to his clients. Their clients are marketeers who trade from their homes and others at markets. Usually the traders would purchase their goods at Soweto Market and pay wheelbarrow pushers to deliver. Finally, after an hour, he reaches his destination, which is Camnet Market, and begins to deliver to his clients. There is no telling how heavy the cargo is, but the elongated carrier on the wheelbarrow and the motor vehicle wheel helps to move the merchandise with ease, of course with human strength. Just how did the father of four of Konyama compound find himself in this business?
Kizi naenda bupaji dawati pe wiki kapena wakungeresa kapena kabiri adezi yonso bwerera kunyumba so mzanga ndena bwana ntenga manja tya tie kwa mimi pesa kakusoweto ndo ni kujira wewe kwa mena matenga abagazi bonse sunga bikire kumbuyo kalemela kumbuyo sunga ende hapa napo so ni kuvibalansa yankala chepa kati yokuwa ni kwenda distance itali.
On a good business day, he makes 2 trips by hiring the special wheelbarrow at 15 kwacha per day.
Chimozi 10 kwacha katana 2 ni 20 katana chimozi 10 katana 3 ni 30 but watching chimozi 10
flu ijalodi yani mwenze nayo lero nzingati
yeah. 1 day.
Like many others, he only attained primary school education but earned his living using his own sweat. Wheelbarrow pushers have been nicknamed lions of the city, and whenever they are moving, Rambo like run for safety as a pedestrian because they mile everything on their path. Tito Kalama, Camnet News.
5 restaurants in Lusaka's Soweto Market caught fire in the early hours of Friday morning, with 3 restaurants having all goods extensively damaged. In an interview with Camnet News, some of the restaurant owners found at the scene suspect the fire started from one of the shops which left the brazier on. They have, however, called on the security to be reshuffled at the market, wondering how the restaurant could be burned to ashes without any of the security noticing when they are supposed to be conducting patrols around the market.
5 restaurant owners in Lusaka's new Soweto Market are at a loss after their property was reduced to ashes Friday morning in a fire whose exact cause is not yet known. The time that the fire also began is also not yet known, as the restaurant owners say they only found ashes of what was once their property when they came to the market in the early hours of Friday morning, suspecting that it could be from a cooking place that is always left with fire from one of the restaurants where a local traditional beverage known as KWACHA is brewed.
Kuseni vambili vamene vapya vonse kulibena chameto adobamo kulibena vameto achitamo ni losi ikulu olonga kambe kulilira ku bantu ni losi ikulu tukanjolo ni kamba kulibena vameto
ba security vamuno market benze kuti pamene ivenzo yaka neve tifuno ziba kozi benzemo muno bankala muno bagona muno manje wa ibintu vonongeka so sibanga vera kuchoka chusi sina wambe mwantini ni malosi anzatu ni maliro ayi balira banzatu ero economy yavuta bazamba bwanje bambe wanu
zafuna kwacha security cause muno it's like manga kuibe security one vintive kabewa tikasta complain so master vivons na ma shops aso ya bewa pabeme vina vevza chitika ko vivons maona ka so dede pempa baninge kuri bakanso but bapase ko security tiba kazista ko patrol by 19 kakwana bapitamu balunga konzenzo bapitamu ba security muno ngabe na ma shops asa achitike kupya yonzi ngabe kwa pya ko cha bemozi bagusofika 05 and wakamba mile wafika 0540.
In a phone interview, Lusaka City Council Public Relations Manager Chola Mwamba says the local authority is investigating the situation to get a full understanding of what transpired.
The inferno is suspected to have started around 06:30 hours this morning. The fire crew managed to put off the fire. Our inspectors are still on the ground to establish more information on the inferno.
Stakeholders in the market sector have been urging traders to ensure that products and have fire extinguishers ready to avoid major losses that have come as a result of market fires over the past few years. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Market leaders at Lusaka's Charleston Big Market have bemoaned the decision taken by ZESCO to install one prepaid meter covering for 199 shops at the market. Market Chair Lady Theodora Msiska has told Camnet News that the decision made has been affecting most traders whose business activities are not electricity driven but contribute the same amount as those whose businesses are driven by electricity. And Area Councillor Chimuka Njomona has appealed to ZESCO and the local authority to first hold a meeting with market traders to sensitize them on the issue before taking such a bold step.
The decision that has been taken by ZESCO to start connecting markets in different parts of the country to one prepaid meter box has continued to attract backlash from different market traders who feel the decision will disadvantage those who rely less on the use of electricity for their business, as they are being made to pay the same amount as those who rely on electricity. The latest to be affected by the decision are traders at Big Market in Lusaka's Charleston area, where 199 shops and a market shelter have been connected to one ZESCO prepaid meter box, and each shop owner is being made to pay 100 kwacha each month. The decision has however been rejected by the market leaders.
Came a week ago and put the prepaid. People in the market complained. We were not told before, we were not told in advance that they are coming to put prepaid. So people are not ready. We are not ready to start buying power, putting the prepaid. So people complained.
The meeting was successfully, although we almost had a protest from the marketeers because we were not consulted before they came to install the prepaid.
The market leaders have since urged ZESCO to rescind its decision, but rather connect each shop to its own meter box so that the shop owners should be the one to vote for their own bills.
The tariff plan was bad. Like within 5 days, we had to spend about 3,500 units. Now, like if we calculate like monthly, we have to spend about 30,000 for the prepaid to power the whole market. ZESCO first, they have to come up with a plan to sensitize the marketeers first and foremost to know about the prepaid, how we are going to manage ourselves.
When they come to put the prepaid, to come in to restore the prepaid, please, they had to put by each shop, they put a prepaid by each shop, not using one prepaid.
Among other challenges in this market is that of lack of collecting garbage by the local authority, despite the traders paying money to the local authority.
Behind me, it came up to this level here. So we had to use our own initiative to remove the garbage because it was too much, of which we have a company which is to collect garbage. But unfortunately, that person has stopped.
And the area councillor Chimuka Njomona, who rushed to the market after being informed that traders wanted to protest against the decision, has called on ZESCO to rescind its decision and consider first engaging the market traders over the matter before taking such a step.
We continue to engage Lusaka City Council as well as ZESCO itself to see on how best we can help our traders. We have interacted with the traders. They have no problem to honor up or to pay any adjustment that can be done or to appreciate the prepaid. But we are going further to ask that if ZESCO can consider to install this prepaid in each respective shop other than generalizing it.
And efforts to get a comment from ZESCO spokesperson Henry Kapata proved futile by broadcast time as his phone went unanswered. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
Government has warned KABWE Mayor Patrick Chishala to stop violating already existing laws in a bid to spur his hidden political agenda. Central Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Godfrey Chitambala says the mayor has no right to order the shop owners to close their shops from 06 hours to 10 hours to facilitate the cleaning of the Central Business District by his followers. And speaking on the sidelines, Chisamba District Commissioner Joel Mboyoma says the mayor overstepped his boundaries to order shop owners to close their shops without consulting with the relevant authorities at provincial level.
A tug of war has emerged between KABWE Mayor Patrick Chishala and Central Province Provincial Administration. This morning, Central Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Godfrey Chitambala, accompanied by district commissioners from other districts within Central Province, diffused the mayor's directive where he ordered all shop owners in the district to close their shops from 06 hours to 10 hours in order to facilitate the cleaning of the Central Business District by a group of his sympathizers who came in large numbers to clean the town. However, this didn't sit well with the provincial administration, who moved in and ordered the shop owners to reopen their shops, accusing the mayor of being a saboteur who is trying to mutilate the local economy.
Mayor is part of government. I think that it will just be prudent, and surely we know that he understands and he knows, specifically that we have got programs that are set aside for us to clean our seat of government. He knows that. So it's very unfortunate that without even consulting, without even intimating to the PS, even to the minister, even to my office, he goes ahead and inconveniences people.
And Chisamba District Commissioner Joe Mboyoma, who accompanied the DPS, says the mayor has no right to order the shop owners to close their shops without consulting the central government.
The action was wrong in that the decision to do cleaning countrywide was done by central government, not by councils. So if he needed to maybe change how the program should be done, like in KWACHA particularly, he should have come to provincial administration, seek audience with the PS, to do anything different from what government had actually put in place. So the whole thing was wrong. He should have consulted before ordering closure of shops, and especially that just last weekend, they were cleaning the shops. So there was no need to do another closure, and this time around ordering all shops to close. That was wrong. He should have consulted with provincial administration.
Petronella Msangulule, reporting for Camnet TV News in KABWE.
Governance, Elections Advocacy Research Services, CRIES Executive Director Macnoda Chipenzi has attributed the low voter turnout in KABUSHI and KWACHA parliamentary by-election to misinformation surrounding the process. Mr. Chipenzi also notes that the court processes surrounding the two by-elections could have also added to voter fatigue due to elections having postponed from the initial date of 15 September 2022 to 21st October 2022. The two by-elections were necessitated by the court's decision to nullify the elections in respective constituencies.
21st October 2022, which was the new date set by the Electoral Commission of Zambia (ECZ) to hold the KWACHA and KABUSHI by-elections, has come and gone, and the elections have been held despite debates on whether the elections would go on, as some political parties like the Opposition Patriotic Front were left out of the ballot following various court processes on whether fresh nominations should be held. This follows the Electoral Commission of Zambia in August 2022 refusing to accept the nominations of former KABUSHI lawmaker Boma Lusambo and former KWACHA lawmaker Joseph Malanji on the basis that they had caused the by-elections, citing Article 74(2) of the Republican Constitution. The voter turnout in the constituencies has however been low, a situation which Governance, Elections, Advocacy Research Services CRIES Executive Director McDonald Chipenzi says was expected, given the court cases as well as misinformation that the elections would not go on.
Even the Electoral Commission of Zambia, because you saw that as late as yesterday, there were still court cases. So I don't think that they had even time to go and do voter education. Okay, it was very difficult for them. That's why even ballot papers, they had to hold on to see when are we going to be given that chance by the courts that go ahead. So there were so many factors that could have contributed to that. But also, that should not be a big worry per se, and cannot make the elections, in any, make the elections any worse, because in a parliamentary arrangement, it's a simple majority. So even if out of 64,000, for example, for KWACHA, if 10,000 turn out and vote, that is enough. A winner will be elected out of those 10,000.
In a separate interview, Operation Young Vote Executive Director Ges Nerenda knows that the campaign period for the two by-elections was almost non-existent due to the court cases.
So these are basically expected to compound this, voter turnout as it were. But for us, what we are saying is that, look, not turning out to vote or not turning up to vote is actually saying that the person that you don't want to be a leader, it should be a leader.
The contestants in the two by-elections are the UPND, the Leadership Movement, and two independent candidates. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Mundubile, says the Patriotic Front will take action against the by-election in KWACHA and KABUSHI constituencies, describing the election as a sham. Addressing the media Friday, Mr. Mundubile has accused the United Party for National Development of kicking out the main opposition, PF, from the election so that it can only compete against smaller political parties, alleging that this equates to the party having no competitor. Polls for the by-elections in KWACHA and KABUSHI constituency were Friday, 21st October 2022, in a highly debated by-election, with the PF candidates being left out of the ballot.
When we see courts changing positions, like we have seen in the case of KABUSHI, there is no democracy to talk about. There will be no constitutional democracy to talk about. Because tell me, with what has happened in the past few weeks, how many of you seated here still have confidence in our courts? How many of you? Remember, like my colleague said, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature exercise power that is given to them through the Constitution. That power we call constituted power. But the constituent power, the reserve power, still resides in the people of Zambia. Agony would be when one day the Zambian people decide to withdraw that power that they've given to these institutions and decide to exercise that power by themselves. That is how confusion in the world over has started. And that would happen whenever citizens don't feel that those that they've given power to exercise on their behalf are failing to exercise that power with diligence.
On the same matter, but in court, the Constitutional Court will next week Wednesday hear a petition in which Opposition Patriotic Front Acting Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa has dragged the Electoral Commission of Zambia over its decision to proceed with the KWACHA and KABUSHI constituency by-election before final determination of matters scattered in various courts. The applicant in this matter also contends that there is nowhere in the Constitution that ECZ is given powers to bar candidates that have already lost their seats through nullifications. Miriam Kaimba filed this report.
Even though the by-elections in KABUSHI and KWACHA constituency have taken place today, the 21st of October 2022, the Constitutional Court is expected next week Wednesday to hear a petition in which the Opposition Patriotic Front are challenging the said elections. On the 12th of October 2022, the PEF party, through its Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa, dragged the Electoral Commission of Zambia to the Constitutional Court over its decision to proceed with the by-elections in the two respective constituencies which have taken place. This matter was scheduled to be heard today at 12 hours. However, it has been adjourned to next week. Mr. Chilangwa in his petition contends that the Commission has no mandate to proceed with conducting the by-elections before the Court of Appeal hears a ruling against the High Court to suspend the elections. Surprisingly, some of the things that the party laments in its petition are in relation to the ruling that was given by the Constitutional Court yesterday, where it declared a nullity of the proceedings before the Court of Appeal. The applicant also contends that there is nowhere in the Constitution that ECZ is given powers to bar candidates that have already lost their seat through nullifications. We wait to learn of the court's verdict after it hears submissions from both parties. Meanwhile, the by-elections in KABUSHI and KWACHA have taken place today. Miriam Kaimba, Reporting for Camnet TV News.
United Party for National Development MANDEVU constituency losing candidate Aaron Mulope has charged that 70% of the judgments made by the Constitutional Court are not genuine and straightforward, hence the need to disband it. Commenting over the court's decision to uphold the election of Opposition Patriotic Front member VOWS Sampa as a duly elected member of Parliament for Matero constituency, Mr. Mulope laments that there was no fairness in the judgment.
Their displeasure could not be expressed further than this. Let the Constitutional Court be trashed and thrown in the dustbin forever, where it belongs. These were the words of 2021 United Party for National Development MANDEVU aspiring candidate Aaron Mulope after the Constitutional Court upheld the election of VOWS Sampa as the duly elected Matero Member of Parliament. Mr. Mulope, who went to offer solidarity to his counterpart, Tom Mijelo, who appealed against the High Court decision to declare Mr. Sampa as the MP for Lusaka's Matero constituency, discredited the credibility of the judiciary.
You have to question the judgment and then question the judges. You understand? Because Matero, MANDEVU and Chawama, the evidences were overwhelming. Even these reports that were being said here. But how can the judge, the Concord, say that there is no evidence? You dismiss it off. You understand? Everyone else knows what happened in this country. This is the time of building Zambia. We are trying to build Zambia. But it's pure and true that the Concord is not with people. Concord is serving its own purpose. And this has to be trashed. It has to be thrown in the dustbin forever where it belongs. They've got nothing to offer for this country. Let the truth be told. If the ministers say something wrong, we always condemn. If the president does something wrong, we always condemn. Why not the judges? Are they not human beings? They've made wrong and unreasonable judgment from the time they were put in place. Let them be buried.
In December 2021, Mr. Michelo, unsatisfied with the lower court's judgment that Opposition Patriotic Front Matero MP VOWS Sampa was duly elected, rushed to the Constitutional Court and appealed on 13 grounds. Mr. Michelo, who had polled 33,598 votes in the 12th August 2021 general elections against Mr. Sampa's 55,612, had claimed that the latter was not duly elected, citing electoral malpractice and violence among other claims. However, delivering its judgment Friday, the court has dismissed all his 13 grounds of appeal, stating that they lacked merit. And giving his view over the judgment, Mr. Mijelo says the outcome of the case is there for everyone to judge, while adding that if given another position to save the public, he would gladly do so.
I don't know if I'll reach 2026. God willing, probably there can be something better. At times as individuals, we might plan this, which is not God's plan. But should chance allow, I can. If probably the party wishes that I can serve the people, not only in Matero, but as a country as a whole, I can be redeployed elsewhere, I will still serve the people, because mine is to serve.
In the end, it was all joy for Opposition Patriotic Front VOWS Sampa. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Over 2,000 candidates have been shortlisted from about 33,639 applicants jostling for jobs in all 116 local authorities in Zambia. The applicants are for the 927 positions which were advertised by the Local Government Civil Service Commission in August 2022. Local Government Civil Service Commission Chairperson Axon Sejani says the need to employ was identified after noticing various vacancies that are existing in councils. Speaking on Friday in Lusaka, when he received the final report on the shortlisted candidates from the ad hoc committee that was engaged by the Commission, Mr. Sejani explained that adequate and well-qualified human resource is a vital component in enhancing service delivery in the local authority. He explained that the Commission will ensure that qualified and deserving personnel are employed to help government effectively drive the full decentralization process which has embarked on. The ad hoc committee chairperson Victor Nyasulu said the shortlisting process, which took more than a month, ensured that all the applicants were given equal opportunities based on their qualifications regardless of ethnicity, gender, regional and political affiliation, adding that women and youths were given priority. Mr. Nyasulu is also a member of the Civil Service Commission, stated that the people living with disability were equally given an opportunity to compete for jobs, and 41% of those who applied in this category were picked. You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. When we return, we have more interesting stories. Stay with us.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
This Independence, take advantage of our special offers. We're having our flat drip tips at 2,800 kwacha, or you can get it per meter at 1 kwacha 15 ngwe. Get our 500 meter round hose with a 1.1 millimeter thickness at 1,200 kwacha. Rainglow, bringing you durable products that will last you many seasons.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development says it has received more than 3.5 billion kwacha under the Constituency Development Fund from the Ministry of Finance. Ministry Permanent Secretary for Administration, Mambo Hamaundu, says allegations that government has not been remitting the CDF funds to the ministry are not true, as the resources have all been made available to the local authorities. Mr. Hamaundu, however, says his ministry will not be frustrated by a few negative sentiments when the CDF funds have been transforming communities.
Government has released, as of the time of the budget, the minister indicated to say 75% of the CDF resource had been made available. And I can actually confirm, I indicated to Sam, the controlling officer at the Ministry of Local Government, we received 75% of the financing. And as of 2 days ago, the total amount of money that we had received in terms of CDF funding is in excess of 3.8 billion. And the budget is just slightly over 4 billion. So that gives you an indication to say government is almost getting 200% funding. And from a ministry's point of view, we have disbursed half of the money to the councils or to the constituencies through the councils. And we are monitoring them now. We want to ensure that we do not have challenges when it comes to utilization of this resource. We are asking questions to say, those who've applied for grants and the approvals have been done, have they been given the money? If they have not been given, we are asking a question to say, what is the issue? What is the delay?
The Ministry of Green Economy and Environment Director in the Department of Climate Change, Ephraim Shitima, is confident of better outcomes in favor of Africa at the COP27 in Egypt. Mr. Shitima says climate change affects mostly Africa, despite contributing fewer carbon emissions that are damaging the earth compared to developed countries. He made the remarks when he received the Climate Justice Torch in Lusaka Friday. The Climate Justice Torch campaign consolidates and organizes key influencing blocks through strengthening mobilization of climate action with the youth, women movements and other vulnerable groups at the helm.
The Zambia Climate Change Network, ZCCN, led the Southern Africa Climate Justice Torch March in Lusaka Friday to amplify the voice for climate change. The 2 days regional event was attended by civil society organizations from countries in Southern Africa such as Malawi, Zimbabwe, Eswatini, South Africa, Botswana, and representatives from small islands such as Comoros and Mauritius. Charles Mwangi is the head of programs and research at the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. He stated that developed countries have to heed to the demand to contribute $100 billion towards supporting the African continent to mitigate the effects of climate change and implementation of adaptation measures.
And we said we have been presenting our positions year after year, but it seems people are burdened by other realities that make it impossible for them to actually see our demands. So we decided to come up with a torch so that we can illuminate our position, our ask, our position coming from the frontline communities affected by climate change.
Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, Country Director Nachila Lankombo emphasized the need for environmental sustainability to ensure food security.
Really grateful that we as Zambia have this opportunity to host our colleagues from the continent of Africa, and we believe that this is the critical point for us to just re-emphasize the key messages that young people have provided. COP27 has to be not only an African COP, but an implementation COP.
Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Director in the Department of Climate Change, Mr. Ephraim Shitima, says they will uphold the interests of Africans at the COP27.
Transition in energy particularly, we don't have the luxury. 600 million Africans are not even connected to any form of grid for electricity. But our colleagues on the other side of the table are now coming up with excuses because of the geopolitical situation. We face a geopolitical situation every day in Africa. It's not special. And so we'll be advancing these views very strongly, but we need your support. And so the support that you've demonstrated here by bringing the torch not only to Zambia but across the continent sends a very strong message.
Also in attendance was Lusaka City Mayor Chilando Chitangala.
Suffer from the issues of climate change. It means that even our food security in a city like this one, we suffer a lot because we depend, Lusaka doesn't farm as much, so our neighboring towns are the ones that feed our city. So as I sit and listen to all this, I also think about what we're going to eat next if we don't fight climate injustice.
The Climate Justice Torch is keeping its frames alive and is keen to have the voices of the vulnerable communities at the front line of the climate crisis heard and actioned ahead of the COP27 to be held in Egypt. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
KABWE district in Central Province has received farming inputs under the Food Security Pack for the 2022-2023 farming season. KABWE District Community Development Officer Annie Mwambazi has confirmed the development to National Agriculture Information Services in an interview. Ms. Mwambazi confirmed that so far the district has received its full consignment of compound D and urea fertilizer. Nais has more.
2022-2023 farming season is around the corner, and the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services in KABWE has started receiving farming inputs under the Food Security Pack. So far, the district has received 3,488 by 50 kilogram bags of compound D fertilizer and 1,744 by 50 kilogram bags of urea fertilizer.
So under the Food Security Pack program, we have received some inputs, these being fertilizer, D compound, 3,488, and urea, 1,744. So as a district, we received our allocation for fertilizer, and I'm so grateful as a district community development officer because the fertilizer has come on time. We've received also soya beans, which is also 744 by 10 kg.
Ms. Mwambazi has advised farmers to put the farming inputs to good use and ultimately reduce the poverty levels.
So to our farmers, as they can see, we've received our inputs on time, and I would urge them that they also plant on time. And as they plant, they look after their fields because these inputs will help them. The objective of this program is to reduce poverty and also increase their nutrition, and at the end of it, for them to have food security.
Likukela Simasiku is the Senior Community Development Officer in charge of Food Security Pack at the provincial level. She gave us the general picture of the Food Security Pack in Central Province.
So in terms of the inputs, we have already started receiving in the province, and we are expected to receive 37,618 by 50 kg D compound, and we are also expected to receive 18,809 by 50 kg urea. This is a very important component of the social protection program because we have a lot of vulnerable but viable people out there, and we see that this program has a lot of impact on the ground. A lot of people have benefited, and they are able to be food secure because of this program.
Helen Witte reporting from KABWE, Central Province.
This is Camnet News. We take another break. When we return, we have sports and international news. Stay with us.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Camnet Stars Football Club, your local national team, will this Sunday 23rd October 2022 be hosting Welcome Football Club. Time 15 hours. Venue Kablonga Boys Secondary School, the home of Camnet Stars Football Club. Don't miss these entertaining and upcoming champions of Zambia. Camnet Stars Football Club, a team born for greatness. See you there.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. In international news, 30 days since Uganda declared the outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus, 24 people have died in the central district of Mubende. The government says it has put more than 80 people under mandatory quarantine in different isolation centers as they monitor them for 21 days. It is believed that the Ebola is an incubation period, an incubation period of 21 days from the day of contact. Here is a roundup of international news.
30 days since Uganda declared the outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus, 24 people have died in the central district of Mubende. The government says it has put more than 80 people under mandatory quarantine in different isolation centers as they monitor them for 21 days.
We had about 3 objectives. One was to ensure that we don't have any contacts moving out of these districts that are majorly the areas where we have the cases to other parts of the country. And I want to believe that up to now, you have not heard us talking about any new case coming from those areas into Kampala or Kampala metropolitan area. But that does not mean the previous contacts may not turn positive. We are monitoring them.
Since the resurgence of the Sudan variant that was first reported in Uganda in the early 2000s, doctors have been struggling to find a vaccine. Now, Health Minister says 2 vaccines from the UK and the US are ready for trial in the country.
We have 2 candidate vaccines that are ready for trial in the country. We have the Oxford vaccine from the United Kingdom and the Sabine vaccine from the United States of America. Right now our protocols are ready. They have been reviewed by the National Council of Science, and the teams that are going to handle the vaccine, we call it a research because we also want information, are all ready and set, and all that is required to have the vaccines in terms of cold chain is ready.
The Health Minister, Dr. Jane Ruth Akseng, says the restrictions are slowing down the transmission and allowing health officials to manage contact tracing.
In Chad, banned demonstrations turned into a bloodbath. On Thursday, security forces opened fire on demonstrators in the country's 2 largest cities, killing at least 60 people and wounding hundreds. The protesters demanded the ouster of Mahamat Idris Deby Itno, who took over in the wake of his father's assassination 18 months ago. The 38-year-old general formed what he called a unity government following his appointment as head of the transition after a national forum. Still on Thursday, Deby presided over his first cabinet meeting. The Prime Minister announced a nighttime curfew until the total restoration of order. The African Union and the UN were among the voices condemning the lethal use of force on civilians.
Call on the authorities to ensure that the security, safety and human rights of all Chadians, including the right of freedom of expression, peaceful assembly and association, are respected. We also call on all parties to refrain from violence or excessive use of force and to remain committed to the spirit of dialogue in the interest of peace and stability in the country.
According to witnesses' testimonies, demonstrators began to blow whistles at 3 a.m. all over the capital. Police fired tear gas at the crowds, which continued advancing, and their numbers grew. It was then that security forces opened fire. The deaths mainly occurred in Jamena and the cities of Mundu and Kumra, the Chadian PM said. The government spokesperson accused the protesters of attacking governmental headquarters. We want justice, this protester says. Macron, take heed, listen to the voice of the people. Today, if we are doing this, it's because of you, France. Over 300 people were wounded, and witnesses say some arrived at the hospital bearing signs of torture. On this footage, an ambulance is being fired at as medics try to tend to victims. The exact death toll remains unknown. Victims include journalist Narcisse Oreje, who was struck by a bullet. Confusion, summons, and an assailant. On Thursday, Togo's security forces took part in a military simulation of a jihadist attack. 2 French instructors from the GIGN Elite Corps oversaw the training course in specialized intervention techniques. The Togolese Minister of Security attended the exercise with the French ambassador to Togo. The President of the Republic, who is the head of the armed forces, instructed us to take all necessary means to be ready. Not that we wish it upon ourselves. However, if one day
an attack happens in our country, we're taking measures now to be able to give some relief to our people so that we can deal with the jihadist threat which is making headlines in our sub-region. Togo is getting ready to face Islamist militants who've destabilized swathes of territory in neighboring Burkina Faso. Some 40 Togolese gendarmes and police officers were on the scene of a restaurant in one of Lomé's districts, which was fictionally under attack by heavily armed militants holding civilians hostages. We've spent 15 days of beneficial training. As you saw during our synthesis, the exercises allowed the trainees to become fully aware of their abilities and to build them into capacities. They were also able to assess how much work still needs to be done. The exercise was the first simulation activity in Togo since the country started recording jihadist attacks in November 2021. The government last month extended the state of emergency in its northern Savane region, granting more flexibility to conduct military operations.
We'll go straight into sports news. In sports, Eric Ten has confirmed Cristiano Ronaldo's refuse to come as a late substitute against Tottenham before the striker left early during Wednesday's victory. In his pre-match press conference, Ten Hag confirmed reports Ronaldo refused to come on. Ten Hag reiterated the club's statement that Ronaldo remains an important part of the squad, although the striker will train on his own on Friday. Well, that item ends our news. The headlines once again. Voter apathy characterizes KABUSHI and KWACHA by-election as the Patriotic Front vows to petition the election outcome. Disband Constitutional Court CRIES United Party for National Development MANDEVU 2021 parliamentary candidate. KABWE mayor warned against sabotaging government's effort. In international news, Uganda's works to contain Ebola outbreak. And in sports news, Cristiano Ronaldo at the center of controversy at Manchester United. We look at the Camnet verse of the day. It is coming from Psalms 40, verse 8, and it reads, I desire to do your will, O my God, your law is within my heart. Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night.